Hello, everyone, and welcome to Social with the Side of Justice, a multi-episode series where we talk about various topics centered around the importance of social justice.
The main theme of our podcast this year is the lack diverse representation in literature, film, education, and government.
Please pardon our appearance today as we settle into our brand new podcast studio. Woo! Let's go.
Hey.
Okay, today's episode will be hosted by me, Yasmin Oliveira.
And me, Wiza Diaz. On today's episode, we'll be joined by Long Branch Councilman Mario Vieira. Councilman Vieira is Long Branch's first Portuguese-American councilman, as well as the former president of the Long Branch Portuguese Club.
We will also be joined today by his sister, Arminda Rodrigues. Ms. Rodrigues is a recently retired Long Branch elementary school teacher. Several of us here at Social with a Side of Justice were lucky enough to have her as a teacher, and we're glad to be reunited.
We are so excited for you to join us today, and we hope you enjoy the show.
Glad to be here.
Happy to be here.
So we want to start off by saying thank you so much for joining us here today. And we're very grateful that you took time out of your busy schedules to be here.
Thank you so much for inviting us.
Pleasure. You know that.
Start off, how would you both describe your transition from life in Portugal to life in America?
Go ahead. You go first.
So
sis.
transition was definitely shocking, coming from a small town in the middle of the mountains where there's practically nothing there. This was 49 years ago. So you can imagine how difficult it was. The language, the food, the culture. It was definitely a difficult transition. We moved into this section, part of Long Branch, a bigger city. We are not as used to seeing so many houses, so many fields and things like that. So it was definitely hard. But on the positive note, it was rewarding, exciting. We came in search of a new opportunity, and we took advantage of all the opportunities that were offered to us. So we benefit from these wonderful opportunities. That's what we came here for.
With me, the transition wasn't as hard because I was a little younger than her. I came in and the language was a little tough, but I took it as a basics. I acknowledged the basics were very different. As when we got here, we had like running water, electricity. These are the things that we didn't have back home when we came over. So those are the objects that I noticed there was a difference. And transition, after the first 6 months when I pick up the language, it was pretty much easy.
So do you feel as immigrants you had to overcome a bunch of challenges?
Yeah, okay, absolutely. I was 14, so in difference what my brother says, I had a little bit more challenges than he did because of the age. So I came into the middle school section for partial time, and then into the high school. So back in those days, 49 years ago, there was, I think, only one other child that spoke Portuguese in the whole school. And he spoke a little bit of English, and he was the only one that we had. So there's a lot of stereotypes, with things we had to face. Many students were not used to other people coming from another country that spoke a different languages. The teachers were not used to having students that spoke different language, so they didn't know how to confront it. And then, like, for example, I remember some stories going into the cooking class. They put me in cooking class because, all right, she'll manage it because it's cooking. But then you needed to speak and you needed to read and in order to make the recipes and things like that. So I tell this story all the time. They made me wash the dishes and the pots all the time because they figure that you can't do anything else, so why not do this? So lack of communication was a problem, could not express my feelings. So all of that was very difficult. Gym was another difficult transition for me because, we came from this little town back in Portugal. I had been out of school for a few years. We didn't have sports. The only sports we have were the ones around our house that we played together. So being part of a volleyball team, we're always looked at. You don't have the skill. You can't do it. So it was difficult. The only, on a positive note, I did have one teacher that spoke Spanish, and she was very passionate, extremely passionate about ELL children. Back in those days, which there were not many of us, but she still left some kind of cross in my heart, because from her passionate with us, it was really interesting then. And that's, I said, from then on, it was a little easier, but it was difficult. High school and middle school was tough.
And what about you, Mari?
After that, what was the question?
Do you feel as immigrants you had to overcome certain stereotypes?
Yes. Yes and no. For me, it was much easier. As she explained, I was a little younger, so I went to elementary school. First couple months, it was tough. I got to admit, it was like there was no Spanish speaking or Portuguese speaking anybody around. Actually, I was probably the first ESL class that they picked up, and they took us out of school and took us to somewhere else to learn English as a second language. But to overcome those hurdles and everything like that, it was okay. It wasn't tough. It was tough to go outside. You wanted to play with some kids, and then you didn't speak the language, of course. But when you get on a soccer field, you don't have to speak anything. You know what I mean? You just play the sport, or outside. So to me, it wasn't too bad at all.
So, Mari, you are the first Portuguese-American councilman in Long Branch. That's pretty awesome. When running for office, did you feel like people underestimated you as a Portuguese immigrant?
I don't think they underestimated me, no, because in today's world, anybody can accomplish anything if they really want to. And we have a lot of feedback from different people that, just proceed what you want, go with your future. And as I ran for the first councilman as a Portuguese, I had to support not only the Portuguese, I had the Brazilian, the Spanish, and I had a lot of different nationality. The diversity of our city is very big. So I was very fortunate to have that with me.
So we wanted to know, what made you both choose your career paths?
So my career, back in when I was a little girl in Portugal, I used to be I used to herd a shepherd. I was a shepherd of goats. And then I don't remember, but my sister that used to do it with me, she says that I used to play teacher all the time. So I'm going to be, every time we played together, I wanted to be the teacher. So I always said I wanted to be a teacher because, we had fights, but I always played and I wanted to be the teacher. So when we finally got the word that we are able to come to this country, I said, okay, there's my opportunity. So when I came here, and then I had such difficulties in middle school, no one that spoke my language, the way I was treated, no diversity, it was tough. So I said, I have the opportunity to follow my dream. But then as I was in high school, my parents took me out of school to go to work. So they said, we can't afford you staying in school. So I was a dropout. And then I got married really young because I wanted to go to school and my father didn't let me. So I got married really young, had 2 children, and then I went on to college. I went to get my degree through Brookdale and my high school degree, and then I went to college, married with 2 kids. So, and then to help out, I made sure I got a job in the school district because that's what I wanted to follow. So I needed to get a grant somehow. I didn't have money. I needed to find ways to fulfill my dream. And I did. So I got a job as an instructional assistant in Long Branch Public Schools in 1983. And it took me 8 years to graduate college. I had 2 kids and worked all day. And then I went to Kane University. And I was able to get a grant. And I was able to follow through. So like I said before, if you get the opportunity, follow them and take advantage of the opportunities that they give you. So I did. And then from the lack of not having any teachers that were helping with the bilingual children, I said we need teachers. And then the grant that I got was a grant based on to recruit more bilingual teachers because they didn't have them. So the fact that I spoke English, and then I majored in Spanish, and then Portuguese was my language, so there was my way out.
That's really amazing to hear.
With me, I wouldn't consider this my career as an early when I got out of high school because I just did this in my adult life. When I was younger, we didn't really proceed. I didn't have the vision that my sister did, so we went into construction, and I'm still in the construction. I'm getting by, and then I proceeded running for council later in life, and I wanted to have some different people running for council as I was the first Portuguese American running, and so I proceeded that later in life, just to give somebody voices that people didn't have voices to.
Arminda, where in the district did you teach, and how long were you a teacher?
Oh, wow. So I was a teacher. I worked in the district, Long Branch Public School District, for 38 years. So like I said, I was an IA, an instructional assistant, for 8 years while I was going to school. And then I taught everywhere. I started out as an instructional assistant in Gregory School. When they first started the Portuguese bilingual, they gathered a group of students, and they needed someone that spoke the language. Again, there was no teachers that spoke the language, so they didn't have any teachers back then that spoke Portuguese. So then they hired me as an instructional assistant to build the gap and to help the students that were coming from Portugal that didn't have any language in English. So I started there at Gregory. And then they moved me around from Gregory to Clark to different elementary schools, wherever the need was. I was going around. And then we moved to Elberon. It was not GLC back then, it was Elberon School. So I worked there for many years. And then once I got my degree, I taught here. I taught Spanish at the high school here, this high school right here, for 2 years. And then I went back to elementary, and then I taught kindergarten. I taught first grade, and I taught kindergarten. And when I retired a year and a half ago, I was in a kindergarten class for the past 22 years, and I was loving it.
So, Mario, can you explain what the role of a councilman is and how you adjusted to it?
Well, the role of a councilman is we basically run the city. We don't run the city. We approve all the bills that get paid, people that get hired. We do the ordinance and the resolutions. That's our job as 5 council members that we have, and that's basically our role as a councilman. Then you go out and interact with the people, and you listen to the people in case there's people that they have different ideas. We take them back to our council chambers, and we bring those ideas, and we get together and see if there's things that we can change. There's other things that we can't change because it's state policies, but we listen to them, and those are basically the policy of the councilman.
Okay.
So both of you have different jobs. Do you feel there is enough diverse representation in your career fields?
So in my career as a teacher, back when I started, there was no diversity at all. But now it depends on the district. Like if you go to do some districts, you see a lot of diversity. Like Long Branch is definitely, it has definitely a reasonable amount of diversity among their staff. So, but if you go to another district, like my daughter lives in Bedminster, there's no diversity there. So it all depends on the district, where it is. But you guys are very lucky that you are in Long Branch district, and it's very diversity. The staff is amazing here.
With the city council, we ran 5 years ago as our first term. We're into the first year, the second term already. We were very strong, make sure we pick a group that's very diversity. And our group is that we have a mayor and city council that represents the city that we live in. And we're very big, as my sister say, that we're very fortunate to live in a city as like Long Branch, that the diversity is very big here, and we respect that, and we're grateful to have that.
Why is it important to you to have diverse representation?
It's basically just explain just what we said in our city. It's very important to me when I go out and I speak a couple different languages. I speak the Spanish fluently and the Portuguese, and I'm still learning the English language, believe it or not, but. But diversity, when you walk out and you go to any event, It's what you see as what you faced. That's why it was important that you deal with the diversity, and people that vote for you are diversity, and so you got to respect that.
So, Ms. Rodriguez, as an elementary school teacher, what are some of the inequities that you noticed amongst the students?
Well, not every student has the same quality of life and resources that most of them have. You know, most of you, if you came from a different country, you know what you come from and you know what you encounter here. So, financial support, support from home, non-English speak parents. When I taught, I even had some encounters that with some parents that were illiterate. So you're sending these notes home and these report cards, and you bring in your parents in and you explain in the report card, and the parent is just looking at you and you're like, oh, she's not grasping it. And then later on you find out that the parent is illiterate. So these children, of course, have it harder at home because they have no way to help. So the fact that the students don't have the support from the parents or the resources that most students have makes it very difficult for them and more challenging to learn.
How did you address these challenges, especially with like the parents and stuff?
Boy, did I love that. I love, being able to speak the languages of my students and the languages of my parents. It was so rewarding and so beneficial. So first, I had the cooperation and the help of the bilingual program. So whenever I needed more resources, all I had to do was call the bilingual coordinator and say, I need this, and I need that, and I need that. And I was granted materials and things that my students needed. So I was a fighter for those kids. They need it, we have to have it. And then when it comes, so I was able to get the funds. I always had very good principals that were very understanding. They're always on my side. They helped me with the support. And of course, how do I educate the parents? That was a very difficult one. How do you educate the parents? Parents are hardworking. They're working. How do you get them? How do you educate them to help their children at home? Okay, so I started having a session of workshops for the parents before school started. I had a fall session and a spring session of 8 weeks each. So I would have a little breakfast for the parents. I would make sure I would have it early in the morning before they went to work. I would hand out goodies. And then I just educate them. I said, you don't have to speak English to teach your child at home. You can read a book to your child in your own language. As long as you read it, you ask questions, you include your child and keep your culture and keep your language, but do something about it. I used to teach them all different ways. We had a season of 8 sessions. Every session depended on different activities. Basically, it was reading and math. So I used to teach them how to go to the store with their child and make it as a math lesson from there, because there's so many things you can do at the store, So parents were very, very interested in that. They started coming, they started liking it, and they were good at it, and I saw a difference in literature in their children, and they were not afraid to come to school. They were confident, and they couldn't wait. Most of them, they used to come and they said, I can't wait until it's Monday because I get to come to class. So I said, well, your children come to class. And I used to do it in my classroom. Your children come to class, but you come to class. And then the children, I used to say, your mom's coming to school today too. So it was a wonderful experience for the children and for the parents.
I bet you made a wonderful impact on all those children.
I did try.
So, Mario, how do you use your role as a councilman to advocate for the Portuguese community of Long Branch?
I use that role not only for the Portuguese, I use it for mostly everybody. I got a lot of people that come to us and they're you wanted to talk to somebody that speaks their language. Excuse me. And when they come to me and I take them and I take them to the different boards or take them to the planning board or they have a question, what can they do? That's what I use the role, but I don't use just the Portuguese. I use as all the different diversity that we have in our city.
So, Ms. Rodriguez, you kind of did just touch upon about the impacts you made as like a teacher towards your students, but did you have like a different part of like being a teacher? Like, what was your favorite part of being a teacher?
Oh my goodness. I think everything was my favorite. But most of it, the best part of it is sometime in May when the light bulb goes on and you see all that progress, all that hard work that you worked throughout the whole year, and all of a sudden, boom, everybody is like expressing themselves, learning to read, being confident. So I had a lot of students from last few years that I worked. I had a lot of students from Brazil. And it was difficult for them when they come in for the first day. You know how it is. So just giving them that love the first day they walk into your class and giving them a hug and making them understand that it's going to be okay, even though your mom went out to work and you're here in a school that you know no one and you can't even speak the language. Just I don't even know how to explain it, but giving them that confidence, that love that they needed, and making them think it's going to be okay. I will be fine. My mom's not here, my dad's not here, but I'll be okay. So and then, of course, helping them build the self-esteem, okay, I am not like you. I dress differently. I don't have these sneakers that or cost a lot of money. But when you give them that love when they first walk into your classroom and you pass on the message that you're going to be fine, and that was just the light bulb. That's just awesome all the way around.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear.
Yes.
So, Mario, I know your policies are like represent diversity and all. So with that, which policy are you most proud of and why?
I wouldn't say policies because of when you make a policy, you're forcing people to do stuff. We're not proud of that, of forcing anybody to do anything. But the things that we do as the council is proud of it is when I go outside and interact with the community and stuff like that. I love hanging out with people and talking. Basically, that's me. Now, the things that we do we're proud of is like one of the things that we've done here that I'm very proud is our first accessible beach that we put into the city of Long Branch that the state of New Jersey or around the world, country didn't have any. The first accessible beach that we put in is that people that are accessible, that are handicapped, that can come and enjoy our beaches down here. And we put the ramp down there. We put the sand mat so they can come in a wheelchair. And then we have our lifeguards. If they want to go for a swim, we have the special chairs that take them into the water. So I wouldn't consider a policy, but the things that we've done, one of those examples is that makes you feel good and you're helping out. That's one of the most proud of.
So you talked about how you want to be the voice for everyone in the community. Is that one of your favorite parts of being the councilman? And if not, what is your favorite part?
It is one of my favorite parts when I go out and interact with the community, but helping out and volunteer, I never really done it when I wasn't a council member. One of the objects when we do the most is my favorite is when we do Serve for Vision in the city of Long Branch, is when we have people coming from all over the different states come in and do surfing. And these are the blind and deaf people that we get to put them on surfboards. And I spend the whole day on the beach doing something I love. And when you see these people coming out of the surf and the waves, and they knock them on the water, and they roll on the water, and then when you pick up these little kids or adults, and you see a smile on their face, that's the part that I do. That's the part that I'm really proud of. I like to do.
And with that, what advice would you give us high school students at the School of Social Justice?
Advice? I can't really give you anything because this is all on you, but proceed with your goal, with your future, because of don't let you say because I'm a different language. I did it later in life, and I still did it. Proceed where you want to, and follow your goal and follow your dreams, because it's very important that this country, especially you live in a city, diversity it's very acceptable, and everybody respects you for who you are and not for where you are not. You know what I mean? So because you speak a different language, that doesn't mean nothing. Because listen, I'm still crossing those bridges right now, and there's open doors to be open, so open them.
What about you, Arminda?
Okay, so a little piggyback on what he said. Don't ever underestimate yourselves because you came from a different background, different culture, or had less resources than others. Work hard, think positive, set goals, take advantage of the opportunities that this country offers you. Always believe in your potential. Find ways to integrate your native culture and language in any way that helps for you. Be a positive role model to others. Be kind. Believe in peace amongst all cultures. And best of luck to all of you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, Councilman Vieira and Ms. Rodrigues, we just want to thank you again for dining with us here at Social with a Side of Justice, and we hope you enjoyed your time with us. Now, here's your check.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yay, thank you.
I'm going to hang it up on the wall. I survived.
Yay.
Let's go.